Hello, I'm Ryan Jenkins, and in this video, I'd like to share the #1 leadership style for effectively influencing across generations. Did you know there is a leadership authority shift that's afoot? And here's what I mean by that. In the past, when we wanted to gather information, we would usually have to go to a single source, right? Information was centralized in an individual or in an entity or an institution, etc. And so thus, really, our leadership approach always kind of looked like this. It was very hierarchical. But things are now shifting because now, today, and moving forward in the future, if we want to info gather on something, we turn to our mobile devices. We now have the world's information that's been curated into a blank search box. And so that changes how we approach leadership. No longer is it a top-down approach, but actually it's more of a networked approach. Especially the emerging generations who can't remember a world where a smart device has been outside of arm's reach, they're going to definitely tap into the wisdom of the crowd to find the best subject matter experts or to understand or to figure out certain things or simply info gather. So now that that's true, our leadership authority and our approach to leadership must change. And in fact, coaching is the #1 leadership style for effectively influencing across generations. Now, one other thing to mention, for the first time ever, we have an emerging generation that doesn't consider parents or teachers as the authority, right? They actually now consider the internet the authority. And now they're more and more, they're approaching leaders and managers as the same way, is that that's not necessarily the authority. The authority is the world's information, the curation of the world's wisdom and information, et cetera. So again, all of that trend is impacting how we must lead and how we must structure organizations. So let's unpack this further. And here's the strategy I want to share with you as it relates to this conversation. That is simply to be a guide on the side. Because no longer is it about top down and it's a more networked approach. We need to come alongside people and coach them through their experiences. So simply coach each generation through their learnings, through their failures, and through their successes. Now, this is a phenomenal strategy as it relates to working and leading across generations, because if you have a more emerging professional that is leading someone that's older than them, this is a fantastic strategy because, again, you're not taking the approach that I know everything and you're being the guide on the side. You're asking the right questions. You're coaching. You're being humble as a leader. And it's a really effective way to lead up, down, and across generations. So if this is appealing to you and you think, yes, I would like to lean more into coaching, and I would strongly urge you to do so, here's a couple of other things to consider. Here is the essence of coaching. Now, it's very easy. I'm sorry. It is very simple. It is simple, but it's not easy. And the essence of coaching is this. You need to resist advice giving and ask more questions. And that's hard to do, right? Because resist advice giving, if you see that train coming, you see that there's a wreck coming, you want to intervene and help that individual before that train wreck happens. But that might not be that serving for the individual. So in fact, we need to hold our tongue, we need to resist advice giving, and we need to ask more questions and help the individual come find the answer. Because at that point, they will become more independent workers and ultimately more productive. So if you, again, lean into coaching, here's 5 questions to consider when you're in a coaching session with an individual. First question is, what's on your mind? Very vague. You're trying to gather what's bubbling up in their brain. Now that's just a smokescreen. And the second question is actually the important one. And what else? That's the one that's going to get to the crux of the challenge. Number 3 is, what's the real challenge here for you? Number 4, how can I help? And the 5th one is really important. What was most useful or valuable here for you? That one, you're trying to plant the seed in the mind of the individual that this was a useful and productive conversation. And so that when they leave that conversation, they're going to want to seek that advice or that coaching session or that individual or leader again when they find themselves at a similar or new challenge. So that's a really important question to plant that seed and to nurture that relationship. I hope this was helpful and insightful. If you'd like to stay in touch, or if you have questions, or if you want to learn more about the live virtual events I do for clients around these topics around the world, email me at ryan@ryan-jenkins.com. Or if you'd like to have content like this or similar content like this delivered in a digital course format, simply visit SyncLX.com. Thanks for sticking around. Have a great day. Take care.